friends and families around the world, and welcome back to another edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. I'm Lee Elias, and I'm joined by my best friends, Christie Casciano Burns and Mike Finelli. And today we're diving into a story that really hit home for us because it's something we discuss and mention on the show quite a bit. Specifically, Mike Finelli talks about this a lot, and it's the need for more recreational leagues in hockey. Now, this episode was inspired by you, by a note. It came from a listener. And it might be one of the most relatable and refreshing stories we've heard in a while. So I'm going to read some of that message for you now, and we'll jump into what I am sure will be a lively discussion. Cue the music. Cue the aura music. Thank you, post-production team. I just threw that on you. Here we go. At the end of the regular hockey season this year, something just seemed off with my daughter. She wasn't putting in much effort on the ice, and more importantly, she didn't look like she was having fun anymore. There were a lot of factors, but one of the biggest was her confidence. She's about to turn 13 in August, so there are a lot of changes happening for her. For the first time, I put my foot down and said no to spring competitive hockey. She still wanted to play, so we signed her up for a fun, low-pressure Park District League run by her favorite coach from when she was younger. It only took about 6 weeks, one light skills session during the week, and a 3-on-3 cross-ice game on Saturdays. No coaching unless it was a safety issue, and her spark came back. The change was incredible. She went from barely breaking a sweat to coming off the ice drenched. She's smiling. She's loving the game again. That same coach now has her scrimmaging with high school and college girls, and her confidence just keeps growing. Next season, she'll dual roster between the Park District and girls travel. She didn't do a single camp this summer, just one scrimmage a week for 6 weeks, and she's having the time of her life. Keep preaching the importance of fun in hockey. Maybe more of us thick-skulled people will get the message a little sooner, myself included. And for obvious reasons, this person asked to remain anonymous, but you know that they're in an area where there's a park league. But we love this story. We love it, not just because it shows the power of less structure and more fun, but it's a great reminder of what hockey is supposed to feel like. So today we're going to crack open this one from all angles and really celebrate the return of joy in the rink. It has to exist, gang. If you don't have the fun, it's not going to work out. And I think that this story really dove into that. So let me bring in Mike and Christy now. Guys, again, why do stories like this one resonate so deeply with us?
Yeah, exactly. Well, sports culture for kids now, it seems to be wired for burnout. So kudos to this dad for knowing his kid, for recognizing the signs that she was starting to burn out. And that's the age, 13, where we've seen studies have shown kids quit sports altogether. And he stepped in, he did a great intervention, he knew his kid, and he did exactly what the experts would tell you to do, what your heart tells you to do, what your mind tells you to do, and you're listening to all that. And he did the right thing. So many parents might just fluff it off. She probably wants to stay home and play video games. Or, maybe she's just being lazy. No, he knew the difference.
Right.
It's not laziness. It's something more here, something more serious. She's starting to burn out and not having fun. So what do I do to fix it? And that's great, because if your kids are showing that burnout signs, doesn't mean they're going to quit forever, but you can pull them back and reintroduce joy. He did all the right things. Kudos to this dad.
Yeah.
Mike?
Yeah, it's so depressing that the way you have to describe the other league is the fun league.
Right.
The idea is that this is supposed to all be fun.
Right.
Like this is probably the root of the problem, right? Is that when we listen, I don't know, being around kids and kids that are developing in sport my whole life, you just see that self-directed play is always the best play. It just is.
Sure.
Like anytime there's a self-directed activity, it always seems to have the most joy, right? And the most fun and the most passion and you're the most driven. And I think that's like anything else, right? If I get, it's like, if I get asked to do a chore around the house, if I do the chore on my own, I always feel better about it than being
Sure.
asked to do it 15 times, right? So, to me, it's like that's the kids and the opportunity we have for these children is that they've get into a place where they are now even seeing the fun and the joy in it. And imagine now a father or mother have to look and say, oh, that's what that looks like. I've been playing hockey for 15 years, 12 years, and that's what the fun looks like. And that's so I do applaud the parent and the parents
Right.
of seeing this and saying, you know what? We're not going to keep driving this into this kid's head. We're just going to let them have their opportunity to do this. And then we'll go from there and have that self-directed play. I love it.
Right.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up too, Mike, about how the contradictory of it being the fun league, because we do talk about this a lot. You know, I can say this, Mike, you can too. Christy, you know this. And this is true not just of hockey, but of anything. Even at the highest levels I've coached, professional, international, where the stakes are very high. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Like, you have to win at those levels. But if we're not having fun, we tend not to win. If you look at the Florida Panthers, they're working. They were injured, but they were smiling. They're having a good time. All right. And again, it's a very different atmosphere at the pro level. I'm not trying to compare youth to pro in that sense, but I'm talking about it's a game. It's got to be fun. I do want to share some quick stats that I put together here. So according to the Aspen Institute State of Play report, the average child, this is going to surprise a lot of you, quits sports by the age of 11 with not having fun as the number one reason. And then here's another one, since we were talking about a young lady here. A 2022 Women's Sports Foundation report showed that confidence dropped significantly in girls around age 13, which is coinciding with peak pressure in youth travel leagues. And I think with boys, the studies show that that's at 15. So, gang, I want to talk about this too, because the person who wrote us this letter spoke about confidence multiple times. It wasn't just she wasn't having fun. Her confidence was nosediving. And I think it's important that we bring up that when you get to this kind of crux point with your kids where maybe they're pushing back a little bit, maybe they're looking burnt out, as parents, we have a choice in this moment, right? I think a lot of parents push and they go, get out there, work. You don't know about hard work. Get out there. And the thing is that there's a difference between being lazy and being burnt out.
Right.
Okay. And you have to know the difference. And I'm going to use this word. I think sometimes we accidentally imprint our daily lives on our kids, right? We have to get up and go to work every day. We've been raising the kids. We're grinding. Our bodies are falling apart. So it's easy for us to go, hey, you just need to work harder.
Right.
That's going to kill a kid's confidence because they are working hard. They're burnt out. There's a huge difference. So, Christy, I want to talk to you about that, right? Like, how do you think the role of burnout plays in kids that age, 11 to 13, and how does that intersect with confidence?
Yeah. And I'll throw the other stat that has the American Academy of Pediatrics found 70% of kids drop out of organized youth sports by the age of 13.
Yeah.
So this is a real thing. Sometimes it depends on the teams that you put your kids on too. So many parents think the best team is the best fit for their kid. That's not always true, especially if they're on a team playing with kids they don't really know. If there's an opportunity to put your kid on a team that may not be as highly competitive, but they're with a bunch of friends having a blast, and so what? They're going to remember that over wins and losses. You know that. So you got to find the right fit for your kid too. If you see that you're watching them at practice, you're watching them play, and they just don't have the love for the sport, they're just kind of doing the motions and not really learning and growing, it's time to reassess where you're at with the team too. I think that can play a role in burnout. And let's not forget the S word too, specialization. We'll get into that a little bit, but I want to hear from Mike too.
Yeah, but that's the whole crux of the whole thing, right? Is I think the burnout is because of us doing something that probably we want more than the child wants, right? I mean, and unfortunately, you always think you're doing the right thing. You think you're doing it in a positive way for the kid, and then what happens is, all of a sudden they get to a point where they're not playing anymore. Like, oh, well, that was 15 years down the tubes, like, or in this case, 11 years, right? So I think it's just a matter of reading the room and seeing where you think your own family instead of trying to keep up with everybody else's families.
Yeah, Mike, we bring this up a lot on the show about, the push-pull methodology with parents, which I get asked a lot. Do I push them here? Do I pull them here? And I said, I just think we're looking at it the wrong way when we do that, right? It's so much more about the environment that you create for your child to explore and have some wonder in, right? They have to take some ownership over. Now, you still have to mentor them. You still have to give them the hey, look, let's work hard kind of talks. But if you're pushing and pulling, of course they're going to burn out. right? Mike, one of the favorite things you do here is if you want to get your kids to stop playing video games, start playing video games with your kids.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not true all the time, but it's like, we just went through that time period where everybody was talking about Sigma and Skibbity. That's
Right.
gone now because all the adults started using it. The kids got rid of that language in 24 hours, right? So
Is that out?
It's gone. Yeah. Or they're doing it in secret now. They have other words. Every time I told my kid I have aura, they roll their eyes at me. But the idea is that if we're forcing hockey in that same regard, of course they're going to not want to do it. They don't want that from their parents. So again, mentor, push, pull. Yeah. Okay. There's some of that. I'm not saying that's parenting.
Well, no, you have to. Yeah. There's a difference between not pushing and then not doing anything. Right. So there's a difference between like saying, okay, well, I've got to influence them a little bit. But they can't be, if you are now committed to this and that's all there is to it.
Right. And I'm all about just helping them create great questions, right? Because I can tell you, and Mike, you know this, Christie, you know this, if you let them come to the answer on their own, if they can figure it out, that's going to stick a lot more than you telling them. Or else you're going to have to tell them 430,642 times before they understand.
Usually they do figure it out. You're right.
Right.
They
Yeah.
usually figure it out. Yeah.
They're always listening. I like to say that they're listening. They might not be doing, or maybe they're not listening. Who knows? All right.
Right.
I do want to talk about this too, that, there is a lot of high pressure hockey out there. What are the signs, right? We'd be remiss if we didn't discuss this. What are the signs your kid really is burning out? We've had episodes on this, but that maybe there's a shift that needs to happen.
Right. So you've got fatigue would be one of them, sleep problems, muscle pain, weight changes, decreased enjoyment in sports. It seems like it would be obvious, but sometimes kids are very stoic. They might not necessarily run to you and tell you, hey, I'm burning out here. You have to look for those signs. You got to know.
They're terrified to tell you that, Christie.
Exactly.
They're terrified because why? Because every parent's, how much money I spend on this? They're terrified to tell you.
So make sure you let your kid know that you got to come to me. If this isn't fun anymore for you, if you feel like you don't want to go to the rink because it's just mentally wearing on you and physically wearing on you, you need to let me know. We got to have that open line of communication.
Yeah, and there's usually one parent in the group that knows what that fatigue looks like, right? I mean, don't count on the dad probably, but there's usually a parent that knows, because when your kid's sick, when they're off. Like my wife could tell, she'd be like, oh, he's a little off. Nah, he's fine. He suck it up. I'm sure he's fine. The next day he's got a 102 fever. So I think it's just about parents know when their kids are off, right? So I think but most of us put our head in the sand and say, wow, they really must love it. Like this is just they're going through a little phase right now. So it is hard. It's very difficult to say to identify what fatigue is, and then I guess make a decision whether that's a rationale for pulling them out of the sport or not.
Right.
One of the signs I look for, because I think with burnout is also there's a bit of consistency that has to happen. Like everybody has a bad morning here or there, right? It's the consistency of
right. It's
back
not
to
one
back
day.
to back. Yeah, and
just like we say, you don't have a bad season on one weekend, right? That's
right.
It. You don't get burned out after one practice. Like, oh, my kid's burnt out. Like, no, you just watch them over a week, of 2 weeks, over 3 weeks, and then you have to look at those and make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
I know with my own kids, one of the things I look for is how am I fighting them to get to the rink?
Right.
Like, am I consistently fighting them to get to the rink? And most of the time, that's not the case. Now, parents, I'm not talking about did you pack your bag? Did you put this on? And the kids are playing something and they're procrastinating. I'm talking like they don't want to go.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
To be fair, I mean, not to be fair. I'm very blessed that I have not experienced that too much yet. Right. My kids generally want to go. They're not fighting it. But that's something, a telltale sign that, hey, something might be wrong. And then I'll just say this and ending this kind of little segment here. It's about having a conversation. If you give your kid a yes or no question, are you burnt out? They're going to tell you no. All right. Highly unlikely they're going to say yeah. All right. But if you ask them a little bit of a more long tail question of, hey, I've noticed that you're having a hard time getting to the rink.
Right.
Is something going on? Are you enjoying hockey? All right. And then I sometimes will say, keeping in mind too, that in my household, hockey is a very big thing. It is my profession. Right. So I will often tell them, remember kids, you don't have to do this because I do it. right? I want you to enjoy this and want to do it. That really opens them up to there's
Yeah.
no wrong answer here. You're not going to disappoint me by saying no, at least not outwardly. I'm just kidding. They wouldn't disappoint me either way. I want to talk about this too, because there's going to be part of the audience that says, well, a rec league, a 3-on-3 rec league, what kind of development can happen in the fun league? Parents, so much development can happen when they have that lightly structured or unstructured play, if the environment is there for them to learn. Okay, when the environment's not there, it can be annoying. Mike is looking all around the screen. Mike, what do you got?
You're killed because I keep using this word. Like, who cares about the development? Like, it doesn't. Right. The development doesn't matter if your kid quits. So what's the point of development? Right. Like we can't all lead. Like, everything can't lead. And we have these episodes all the time about what sport should my kid play to be better at hockey? I'm like, who cares?
Right.
Like they shouldn't. Like the development piece is literally for elite athletes. Like the development piece is for players that are going to move on to play. But if at 11 years old your child quits playing, all the development in the world is not helping them. There's plenty of developed athletes that are great developmentally that hate the sport.
Right.
They can't stand going. So I think we just got to be careful about, because I do agree with you, Lee. Everybody's going to go, oh, well, of course, a 3-on-3 league.
I kind of framed this question to tick you off. I'm not going to lie.
Well, they're just going to, well, how are they going to develop? I go, well, how are they going to develop when they're not playing anymore? How about that? Like, then they're really not developing.
Right.
So I think there's a matter of all of us as parents have to say, what does development mean in the context of where my kid is playing? And you're absolutely right. Like, most parents would see. Now, I didn't mean to cut you off, because you're right. I mean, developmentally, 3-on-3 and these other ways to play are probably just as good or better anyway.
Yeah, they might be better in some cases.
But you can't look at it as there's nobody out there teaching my kid how to play and get better, so it's not as valuable to me.
Well, and
I would encourage a parent to sit there in the stands, and if your kid's out there 3-on-3 with those buddies, what you're going to see and what you're going to hear. You're going to see a lot of smiles. You're going to see some real hustle out there, because they get real competitive with each other. And you're going to hear a lot of laughter. They have a blast. And those bonds even get closer with their buddies. These are going to be the kinds of skating and events that happen in their life that they're always going to remember. They'll joke about it years later with each other. Hey, remember I smoked down that 3-on-3,
Well, again, and how do you develop? You develop by competing, and what makes competition the best? When it's fun.
Right.
I'm gonna segue this into like the second half of this too. I was at a summer league game yesterday, and summer league is notorious for just being horrendous. Right? I'm sitting in the stands. I'm having a lot of great conversations with the parents. And Mike, to your point, because the games are horrible. And I made the joke that in the regular season we play chess, summer league we're playing checkers. All right. Exactly. And I said, this is their time. This is their time to just go freaking out. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because tactically, I'm going to say it again. Tactically, it was some of the worst hockey I've ever seen. Sure. I didn't say a word. You know why? The smiles on their faces. I saw a kid, one of my favorite players to coach. He is such a quiet kid, and he went down on a breakaway and scored a goal, and he did a huge like Hulk Hogan celebration down awesome. I've never seen this kid do that.
Fantastic.
And people were laughing. Yeah. And I also made the joke, why pass when you can score? But the point was this is a league where they can try it. And this is where it segues in. The hockey was horrible, but you know what? Right. The effort wasn't. They were really going at it. They were really playing hard. I mean, and not to hurt each other. They were skating. And that in the letter that we got, and I want to point this out because you could feel it in the way it was written. Mm-hmm. The fun league was not just fluff. It drove her effort. It brought her confidence back. The fun, Mike, this is your point. Fun might be the most forgotten part of development. Right? If you want to look at it and merge them together, it wasn't something extra, but it was essential for this young player's ability to move forward. And I guess I got to close the question or the comment on this, guys, is that, Mike, to your point, if it's not fun, who can, I mean, the development doesn't matter anymore. You're not going to develop if you're not having fun. Period.
Right.
Yeah. And I think you have to know as an athlete, like, so if you're a parent and you're not an athlete, like if you're a parent that has a good athlete, or you know, a parent that you're now in the room and you're like, oh, my son's an athlete, but I never was an athlete. Like I didn't play sports. That the levels of what makes something fun for an athlete probably is different than what somebody should be looking at as fun. Like I always look at, like, if you like to me, fun is winning, right?
Yeah,
So
I agree. And
so
competing.
what level of competing do you need to do? Now, it might not be fun getting to the win. It actually is very hard work.
Yeah.
But you know, and it's not fun to get up and work out. It's not fun to eat correctly. It's not fun to do the things you need
embrace
to do to
the
get better.
suck, Mike. Embrace the suck from our Marine friends.
But I think that's where people get a little disillusioned. The fact that these people they're looking at as the elite athlete and the player that's like developmentally sound is doing things that they deem fun, that most of us look at and like, that's not fun.
Right.
Like when somebody like trains for a marathon, like that's not fun. But the person training for the marathon probably thinks it's a ball. Like they love it. Like like they think it's fun. But a normal person like me says, that's stupid. Like, why would you do that to yourself? But you know, but these other people go, that is fun for me. Like I got a rush out of that. I got a high from that. I got to, you know, I got to a point where I saw that in my scheme of how I'm trying to develop, and that was fun. Where again, I think let's go back to the beginning of the conversation. If your kid is not experiencing those things, it's probably because they're just not that person, and they're probably not going to be a great hockey player. But
I got to throw this in.
They shouldn't be having fun.
For Christie here, right? So, Mike, you bring up a really strong point here, because I actually think what you're saying is not limited to the player. It's the family, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna say this right away. Look, not everyone has that standard that you're talking about, and that's okay, believe it or not. If a kid does not have the standard to eat right, work out, and do all these things, it's okay, all right? But that also means they have to be somewhat realistic about the outcome, right? The kid who wants to do all that stuff, the standard's high. And Christie, this is where I'm going to throw it to you.
Sure.
The family tends to have the highest of standards as well. This is an ecosystem type deal, right? I shouldn't say never. I have rarely met a kid who is into everything, nutrition, working out in the game, and their parents are going to McDonald's every day.
Right.
Like you don't see that, right? So it's about the environment. I'm bringing it to you, Christie, because both your kids are highly successful. You're highly successful. The environment, right?
Right. And that's a great way to put it. It's an ecosystem. That's fabulous. I never really thought about that before, but yeah, that's you nailed it. That is a great way to describe it. You're all working together here. So you have to set good examples too.
Right.
And we tried to do that with our kids. We're lucky because they were self-motivated. And we kind of learned a lot from them about nutrition and working out. They steered me in a different direction. You know, Mom, you really shouldn't be eating this. Or did you know what you're eating? How much, sodium is in that? So they kind of taught me how to, take better care of myself. And I got motivated by them, seeing them working out. And so it can actually benefit you as parents too, because they learn from the kids. Yeah, but so I mean, sports has so many great opportunities for your kids. They can help, and studies have shown they're mentally better fit. But there's that delicate balance, because then the parents want to jump and push, and that's where the anxiety can, cause stress. So it's sort of like a double-edged sword. It's a delicate balancing act. Yes, you want your best for your kids, but you also don't want to push them so hard that they're burning out and showing fatigue and just want to just.
And this is why I say environment. Look, a really quick example, Mike. I'll throw it to you after this. When I was growing up, my dad lifted weights in our basement. And he never asked me to do it, but I'd see him doing it. And you know what happened one day? I said, "Hey, Dad, can you teach me how to lift weights?" All right. In my house, in this time period, we have a Peloton. We've got a bunch of exercise equipment. My wife and I regularly work on the house. Guess what happened? My daughter jumped on the Peloton, not prompted. Nice. Right. My son's doing some of the move, the band works that we do. The ecosystem, the environment existed. I'm not saying it's every family, and I know it sounds like I'm bragging a little bit. I'm really proud of my kids for doing this. But I'm saying, like, the environment is there. Okay. Yeah. So parents, If you're on your kids about eating and working out and you're not doing any of that,
Right.
there's some recipe for burnout there.
I got scolded and it's still to this day. I got scolded by my daughter the other day because I was feeling a little sluggish, and I went and I got an energy drink, and I walked in the house with it. She goes,
Mom,
"What are you doing, Trish?" She's got all over me. Those are not good for you. You shouldn't be drinking that.
I bet you had a lot of energy though. I bet you were ready to go after that.
I was ready to go.
Yeah.
Go, come on, let's go.
It's funny, right? Because that letter could go the other way too. The letter could be, oh, my daughter is in a non-competitive rec league, and you know what I did this spring? I gave her a chance to be with high performers. This spring, I gave her a chance to be with players that thought differently and acted differently and had a different motivation. And my daughter rose to the occasion and rose to the level of play. So I think and that's, what we're saying in the middle of the conversation, right? About reading your athlete and reading your family and reading the performer, is because it could, I just think when you have a kid that can make a decision, sometimes being around high performing players and other kids will elevate them to stay 100%. As a high performer, as opposed to being with you are like we used to joke around all the time. I said, you want to hang out at 9 o'clock at night at 7-Eleven, guess who you're going to be, sitting on the corner. So it's all, you are who you hang out with, right? You are who your friends are. And I think that for athletes, that if you're going to be if you think you might have a high performer and maybe you're not giving that player the opportunity to really find that in them,
right?
Then that's the other way too. Like it goes both ways. I mean, and I think because burnout could happen by a kid just not having fun because they're bored. They're like because they're not getting any competition.
This
and
is a perfect
you put them
segue.
in a place where you're like, oh, this is really competitive for me. I want to get better. I want the extra time.
Mike, this is a perfect segue.
And that's where it's not a one size fits all. You got to know your kid.
Read the room.
You got to know how
read
to
the room.
Right.
Well, let's look. There's some elements in this letter as we kind of come to the ending side of the episode here. One of the things that I was going to bring up here is, Mike, we talked about environment. We talked about, yes, this absolutely goes both ways. But I actually know from talking to this person, because we do message back and forth once in a while, you know who you are, that the coaching at the elite level that she plays at crushes her. I mean, they are, at least from the point of view of the parent, right? Yeah. It's a highly stressful environment. The other part of this letter was that she was playing with a coach that she loved, right? And I'd be remiss as a coach if I didn't bring this up, right? The person leading you and your kids is so important, right? And that her confidence is back. She's having fun playing with a coach that she loves. And I'm sure the coach is a good coach, okay? This is why it's so important that you don't just look at AAA All-Star Showcase. It's who's coaching the team. Yeah. You can be on a lesser letter team with a great coach. You will have way more fun, but you're also going to develop more. I'm going to say it again. You can't develop properly if there's not some aura of fun in the game, right? And if your kid does not enjoy being backskated, which should never happen, right? It's probably not where they're supposed to be. So I'm going to kind of combine these into a question. The coach played a big role. And also the other part of the letter was less is more. It was one skills session, one game. It wasn't on the ice 5 days a week, 4 days a week. Again, this environment was correct for this kid. I don't want anybody to take away from this episode, I got to get my kid into this situation. It's the parent, as you said, Christie, the parent understood the kid was burning out. They found a better environment. And it brings us to our final question, which I'm not sure how we're going to go on this, which was, at the end of the letter, he said, well, we're going to do both leagues this year. We're going to do the high-level league and the rec league. So now the question comes up, is dual rostering smart? Travel, rec, long-term, is that good? Is that bad? Yeah. Now, I come from an area where my kids play club and school, so this isn't crazy for me. Yeah. But it's something to talk about real quick.
Right. High school level, my kids all double rostered. They played, Syracuse Nationals, and they also played high school hockey, and they did fine with it. And we were fortunate because the coaches worked together to make the schedules work for our kids. So there wasn't a lot of pressure like, oh, if you miss this game with the Nationals, because of a high school hockey game, you're off the team. It wasn't like that. So fortunately, we had coaches that worked together, and they all double rostered. My son too played on a sports high level league, and high school. And he did fine with it. But again, it's you got to know your kid, because there is a real concern about burnout and the sports culture. I'll say it again. Youth sports culture now is wired today for burnout. It really is.
Yeah.
And that's where parents need to step in, know the signs, know your kid. If your kid isn't ready to play up, which can be great, when we put our kids on an upper level team, we saw a vast improvement in how they skated, in their attitude toward, competitiveness, because they were playing up, but they were ready for it and they thrived in that. Some kids who were on the same team didn't. They burned out, weren't having fun, got hurt, got injured, and then they were done, walked away from it. So again, you just got it. It's not, you can't say this is right for every kid. You have to know what's right for your kid.
Yeah, I don't know if this is even a double rostering question in my head. It's more of like, I want the best of both worlds kind of question, right? I mean, so I don't know. To me, it's like if you have a player that's leaning one way or the other, I mean, the real, I guess, choice for me would be, well, who is your child? Like if it's the rec kid, then let them, and then do more of that. And if it's the competitive travel kid, do more of that. But I don't know if you're going to see, like, imagine the Jekyll and Hyde feeling of going from the coach that's great that you hate to the coach you like that sucks.
Well, you're not going to want to go there.
Like it's just, well, yeah. And then eventually, maybe the choice gets made for you. Like, I'm sick this day, but I feel great the next day. Or now if you feel like you're even burned out a little bit, now you're adding another layer to that because it's time and she's getting to the age where she's going to be going to middle school and high school, and like there's a lot going on there. So again, I don't know if you're looking to double roster because you want the mix of both. I would always lean to, why don't you just go to the place that's having the most fun, like as opposed to, well, I'm going to have some pain on Saturday and Sunday, and she's going to love Tuesday. I don't know. So I don't know the person, and if you do, then great.
But your kids double rostered in high school, right?
They do, but they had fun and they were having fun in both. Right. Like there was no like, oh, I hate that, but I'm going to double roster anyway because I hate it. Like,
My kids
to me. To me, there's a distinct, like, I don't like that other option.
Right. I'm going to say this too. If you don't like it, I don't want to do it either.
Yeah.
I could use the time back.
I guess my point is the double rostering idea is for the obsessed kid that loves everything. And then you're like, well, I just need more ice, and I want to be more. And Christie knows this from New York State. Like every kid in New York State double rosters. They play for their high school team, which is and they play for their travel team, which is both nuts. Like, but they're like, it's crazy that they have to do this. But it's just the options they have. Where in other states, you can only play for one or the other. So maybe that kid would do more of like a rec type thing. But I think in this particular question, it's a dad that's saying she hates team A, she loves team B. But because she loves team B so much more, we're going to keep her in both. I'm like, well, then don't even put her in A.
It's a weird equation.
Don't put her in A.
Yeah.
But again, that's they know. But I think to your point, they know the family best, and they know the player, and they can read the room and figure it out. But again, if it's a question of fun over no fun, then I would go with the one team.
Yeah, look, just in closing this out, I love these episodes and these conversations because it's a paradox, right? There's no way for us to land at this is the correct thing to do, thus proving, remember, I always say to the audience, you're not crazy. The hockey world is crazy. Yeah. And if there is a takeaway from this episode, you guys tell me if you agree. It's the fun has to be there. B, it's about balance. And C, maybe most importantly, it's about knowing your kid. This parent is, as all of you are listening, invested in their child's well-being, not their child making it to whatever level, right? That's a sidestep. So, but these are the conversations that have to happen within the game. And I mean, if to both of you, I love that we get to kind of do that, right? Mm-hmm. Any final thoughts before we close this out? Because I know Mike, who, by the way, we should give a shout out to Mike, who's joining us live from Norway.
Yeah.
Where it's almost 5 o'clock in the evening. It's almost 11 a.m. on the East Coast on this side of the pond. But I want to give a big shout out to Mike. who's joining us from Norway today. He goes all out, Christy. I love that about him.
I know. Did you have caviar for breakfast this morning? Just one.
No, we're looking for salmon, but more that everybody, that I'm allowed to do this, which is.
I love that they serve caviar in a tube for breakfast. Amazing.
I had Eggo waffles for breakfast.
I just ordered my liver post day in it.
I love Norway. It's so fun.
I don't know why he comes
I
back.
wish I was there with you.
I don't know either. To be honest with you.
Yeah. All right, we'll have to do a show live from there one day.
And I think for me to sum it up too, it's just that Lee makes the point that we really have no answers for any of you. So why do you even listen?
They have listened. We're over 400 episodes here. Someone's listening.
Somebody knows something.
Right. We can't really come up with any answers, but we come up with a lot of solutions.
A lot of opinions. About
a lot of opinions. But it's all. But again, read the room, know your kid, and I think ultimately, pick fun.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure whatever sport your kid plays, that they're growing, learning, and enjoying it. That this is the best time in your life. You have a big role to play to make sure that you're guiding them along the way, and you're in a positive way. Yeah.
What's that song? Life is life.
Life is life.
Enjoy your life, my friends.
Yeah.
Listen, this has been a tremendous episode, and I'm going to close it out there. Hey gang, so a quick update since this episode's been released. The father of the player who inspired this episode, who was just playing for fun and really inspired everything we talked about today, has just sent me a message, and it's mid to late August when I'm receiving this. This is what the message says. She scored top skater for all categories in tryouts. No camps, no tournaments, no spring or summer competitive hockey, only fun all summer. Once her confidence came back, so did the effort level. Crazy what letting a passionate kid just have fun on the ice can do. I wanted to share this with you all. And again, we're splicing this into the episode because the result is in, right? It shows you that while we put so much pressure on development and so much pressure on where you're playing, sometimes the kids just have to have fun. And this is a perfect example of a kid finding and rekindling their love for the game and putting them into a position to succeed. It's just something we all have to think about. Every journey is different. No two journeys are the same. But for this player, rekindling that love was exactly what she needed. For Mike Benelli, for Christie Cash, Anna Burns, I'm Lee Elias. You've been listening to Our Kids Play Hockey. Remember, if you have a message like this, if you have a story like this you'd want us to discuss, email us, team@ourkidsplayhockey.com, or accompanying every episode in the description. There's a text link. Text it. Send us your name. You can make it anonymous now. I'm thinking about it. Let us know where you're from. Tell us your story. We'll share it on the air. I think the more of that we do, the better. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you on the next episode. Remember, skate hard, have fun, enjoy your day, everybody.
Awesome.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Make sure to like and subscribe right now if you found value wherever you're listening, whether it's a podcast network, a social media network, or our website, ourkidsplayhockey.com. Also, make sure to check out our children's book, When Hockey Stops, at whenhockeystops.com. It's a book that helps children deal with adversity in the game and in life. We're very proud of it. But thanks so much for listening to this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey, and we'll see you on the next episode.